The novel The Music of Chance was written by Paul Auster and published by the Penguin Books in 1990. The novel deals with themes such as identity, existentialism, the meaning/purpose of life, and postmodernism. In this assignment, we had to make an analysis of the excerpt that we were given. And my first analytical point is a characterization of Nash as a postmodernist. The main character in the novel The Music of Chance is a prime example of an individual in a postmodern society, and is shown through his actions. In the quote, "We Americans are always tearing down what we build, destroying the past in order to start over again, rushing headlong into the future. But our cousins on the other side of the pond are more attached to their history. It comforts them to know that they belong to a tradition, to age-old habits and customs." It is clearly shown how the Americans have moved away from traditions, age-old habits, and customs, since it is mentioned how Americans have a tendency to always be tearing down what we build, and rush into life with a bit of recklessness due to them being headlong. It is Stone who says this, and he stands in contrast to Nash, since Stone says, "I won't bore you by going into my love of the past." Nash, however, is portrayed just as the Americans that want to break free from traditions and norms and rebuild themselves with their own essence and find the purpose and meaning of their life through this. Even though Nash did not have a purpose in the beginning of the novel, which again also is a postmodernist characteristic, Nash breaks free from these traditions, age-old habits, and customs, since he actually starts to work on the wall that Stone and Flower wants him and Posey to work on, as their payment from the poker game. And it is a symbol of how society is fragmented, since there are no norms because Flower and Stone are keeping them from the rest of society for months. However, the wall becomes a personal project for Nash, since he now has a purpose of just building a wall. By allowing himself to build the wall, he also retreats from the normal society, which is also a sign of postmodernism, since this is the way he finds a purpose. He also confronts Posey and is resolute about the way he himself views this theory of everything has a reason or a purpose. In the quote where Nash says, "You're trying to persuade yourself. There's a reason for what happens in the world. I don't care what you call it, God or luck or harmony. It all comes down to the same bullshit. It's a way of avoiding the facts, of refusing to look at how things really work." Here it is shown how strong his opinion about everything having an original purpose is. He himself, however, has the same concept as Paul Auster, and that everything happens based upon coincidences. In another quote where it says he was not sure why he had done it, but the last thing he was looking for just then was a reason. Here it is shown how he originally was not looking for a reason or a purpose for the things he was doing. He did not know that his actions of taking the wooden figures would lead to the outcome it did, and he didn't think of the consequences. As Posey puts it, "We'd come to the point where everything was turning into music for us, and then you have to go upstairs and smash all the instruments." Nash is, however, a determined man who is not shy to test the waters, and by having these types of characteristics, he actually finds his purpose by taking a leap of faith. And my other analytical point is the theme, title, and symbolism. The title of the novel, The Music of Chance, refers to one of Paul Auster's concepts of everything happens based upon coincidences. This means that everything that happens in life is not something that is bound by meaning and by purpose. However, meaning and purpose is created by these coincidences that were to occur in someone's life. This is a concept that is clearly shown throughout the novel, The Music of Chance, not only from the title, but also through the symbols of the novel. One of the reasons why the title, The Music of Chance, becomes very clear as a close relation to the theme is due to the ending of the novel. In the quote, Nash had the car up to 60 by then, feeling in absolute control as he whipped along the narrow, twisting country road. The music had pushed Merckx and Floyd far into the background, and he could no longer hear anything but the 4-string instruments pouring out their sounds into the dark, enclosed space. Here it is clearly shown how Nash is able to shut out the noise from the people who told him what to do, and how he now has the ability to do whatever he wants. Because he could no longer hear anything, and therefore he lets himself do what he wants to do. Therefore he pushes the speeder down and crashes the car. All this happened due to the coincidence of the music that was playing. It is not known whether or not the same outcome would have occurred if another song had been played. Therefore, the last scene in the novel is a prime example on the essence of the entire novel, since it shows the meaning of the title as well as the concept of the novel, how coincidences can lead to almost any outcome and form life in many different and unique ways. Another aspect that also shows this concept of chance is the part the cards play in the novel. The cards in the novel becomes a symbol of chance and coincidences. The reason for this is due to the fact that in the novel the men are playing poker. The cards are handed out and it is a total coincidence of what cards you get. The poker game could therefore be a reference to life and how the cards you're given in life also happens by coincidence. How this card concept is shown in the novel becomes clear when it turns out the poker game actually has an immense influence of the turnout of both Posey's and Nash's story. The cards in the game are what unlocks the path they both go down. And then to the close analysis of at least 3 quotes. The first quote is, he was not sure why he had done it, but the last thing he was looking for just then was a reason. This is a declarative sentence, and declarative sentences usually lets the reader know a statement. However, this statement is something that becomes important for the reader to know, since the quote adds to Nash's way of being a postmodernist who does not look for a reason for the things he does. Therefore, the effects of this sentence is very important. The second quote, fully conscious of what he was about to do, yet with no sense of guilt, feeling no compunction whatsoever, he found the spot where Flower and Stone were standing in front of the candy store, arms flung around each other's shoulders, looking at the lottery ticket with their hands bowed in concentration. Lowered his thumb and middle finger to the place where their feet joined the floor and gave a little tug. This sentence is a very long sentence, which for some part of the novel is quite common, and the use of long sentences can be used to create certain types of rhythms for the reader when reading the novel. Usually, the long sentences are used to slow a description down and also create a sense of relaxation or an illusion of a flowing use of language. The last quote is, if you look at the prison, you'll see that all the prisoners are working happily at various tasks, that they all have smiles on their faces. That's because they're glad they've been punished for their crimes, and now they're learning how to recover the goodness within them through hard work. This quote shows a contrast, which is the happy prisoners that are being kept in the prison. Usually a prison is not portrayed as a happy place where people are glad they're being punished. Sometimes it can be associated with something mild, since not all people are in for a murder, but usually a prison is associated with hardcore people who have committed some sort of a horrible crime. Therefore, the author has created a contrast on how we usually see a prison, and by doing this, he establishes a new meaning which can be refreshing to the reader. And to put the excerpt into perspective with the literary period, which is postmodernism, which can be defined by many words. Postmodernism was a period that stretched from around 1970, and the end of this period is still something that is being discussed today. Somehow, it is quite difficult to figure out whether or not society and people have moved forward from this period. Postmodernism is classically known for its key elements such as the fragmentation of society and individuals, as well as how the literature was affected with phenomena such as metafiction and intertextuality. In this time of period, many riots also occurred, and it is referenced in the novel in the quote, a group of 20 men and women marching down the street, all of them wearing glasses. Here, the people who were marching down the street had seen the world through their glasses, which could be a reference to them seeing the world the right way since they were all wearing glasses. Another aspect in this period is that the self in this period of time struggles to find a purpose as well as meaning with the life they're living. Beforehand, the self was bound by traditions and norms and therefore would easily slide into the role in their given society. However, this is not the case in a postmodern society. Here, the society is fragmented and norms and traditions do not play as big a role as they had done previously. This gives the individual the freedom to choose a path in life that is customized to only themselves. However, this freedom is not always seen as freedom. Having to find and create your own meaning and essence in life, also known as existentialism, is not always something that is easy to do. The way that this is being portrayed in the novel is through not only the main character Nash and his postmodernist behavior of not having a purpose, but later on finding it, but also through the title, which illustrated the concept of chance and that everything happens based upon coincidences and not destiny, which also can be shown in the symbolic meaning of the cards that are being handed out at random.